Why would I not want that?
That's when it all went bad.
So,
Hard cardio, what's the... do you know what that is?
Hey, it's as close to famous as we're coming. Do you know what, I was actually... You know, you write lists, you write goals and stuff, and you don't actually have a solid picture of what it is. You've just kind of written it. And one of mine was to get a celebrity guest on the podcast, and then it dawned on me last night. I'm like, fuck, I've done it. You're my celebrity.
I'm not a celebrity
You're my
guest.
celebrity.
You've like Z-list.
It's as close to famous as we're coming.
For Aberdeen standards.
For Aberdeen, yeah, fair enough. So, I'll get a wee bit of background about yourself and why I've got you on here, and then we'll jump into what we're going to talk about.
Okay, I'm scared.
You're scared?
I'm scared because I've got no idea what we're going to talk about, but that's fine.
Well, we've talked about it before, so it won't be a surprise.
Okay.
So you're orthopaedic surgeon. Main day job when you're not being Batman, yeah?
So I'm an orthopaedic surgeon. I'm pretty niche in what I do.
Yeah.
So I treat patients who've got soft tissue cancers, bone cancers. On top of that, I do a lot of sports stuff. I do a lot of soft tissue work. I do general arthroplasty. I do trauma.
Yeah.
Is my main thing. So tumour and trauma are my main things, but I've got lots of sidelines.
Damn, busy, very busy.
A little bit busy.
And you're probably what you've talked about a million times before, and being on other podcasts and everything, which also made me really nervous to do this as well. But you're first female to pass selection in SAS Who Dares Wins, and I wonder when we get into this later if that the subject we're going to talk about helped in that as well. So we'll see if we can get a link in there as well. And you're also a doctor for Aberdeen Rugby. I never knew that.
So I've doctored for Aberdeen Rugby for nearly over 20 years.
Okay, wow, damn. And also on the medical team for Scottish Rugby Union as well?
Yeah, so I do some stuff with the SRU, I do some of academy stuff, just cover stuff close by.
Yeah, nice. How does that work? Were you always involved in rugby, or do they reach out to find people?
So rugby's probably one of the first team sports that I played. So I played when I was 16 back in Northern Ireland.
Right.
And a lot of that was just really to try and find a sport that was different from my sister. So I have a twin sister.
Okay.
We're totally identical. And that's kind of hard, right? Whenever you're doing the same things. So
yeah.
So I basically started playing rugby just purely to do something different from
find your
what
own
she was.
identity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
and
cool.
then went to uni, played Scottish unis, and then stopped really just because of work and uni and going into clinics with black eyes and things. And then
not a good look.
And then whenever I was in Dundee, I did a lot of, I'm still a student, I medicked for Dundee High School FPs.
Oh, okay. My
husband used to play for them.
Right.
And then came up here and very swiftly got handed medic for Aberdeen Rugby.
That's good. Like on top of that, you motivational talks on mental resilience and stuff. Is that like a common thing? Do you do that a lot, or is it just kind of coming? It kind of just
comes in random bits. I suppose whenever I came out of the programme, I probably did a bit more. It's a totally different skill. Whenever, being a medic, you stand up and you do presentations all the time.
Okay.
But those are straightforward. They're just kind of like researchy stuff that you've done, and you can be standing up in front of like a couple of hundred people, and you just tell them what you just present the work that you've done. But the motivational stuff's actually kind of challenging, because you kind of feel like you're selling a little bit of your soul. You know, you're like giving away a little bit of yourself every time you do it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I've not done anything on that scale before, but I get the feelings. I've done if I was doing Sparky stuff that I'd done before this, if I was talking to like inspectors and stuff, and people come around and try and rip your site apart, and you need to answer questions like totally technical stuff, not a problem at all. Going and giving a talk to a school and a careers day or something and bricking it. Like, why is it like that? It doesn't make any sense. It's still your profession. It's still stuff that you do, but it's just different, you know?
Yeah. It's harder, I think, when you've got a kind of difficult audience, or you don't know how to, like, what level to aim it at. And I think that's why kids are hard to speak to, right? Like,
you want to just lingo and everything. Yeah, you change all your technicalities and everything. Well, that's kind of it's supposed to be you don't know your shit until you can explain it to a 5-year-old, right?
Yeah. I don't know my shit.
Me neither. I've got 7 of them. None of them listen. So, you also you climbed. I'm going to butcher the name. Is it Machu Picchu?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Machu Picchu for Charlie House.
Ah, nice. Yeah. I actually looked at because I couldn't think where it was, but it's in Peru. Yeah, and a little village at the top. Is that right at the top, or is there still?
Oh, the remains.
Yeah.
Pretty much at the top. There's a massive big trail that you go that takes you like 2, 3 or 4 days to get there. So you camp overnight, and it's like a guided tour that you end up at Machu Picchu.
Right.
So the reason I was kind of keen to go was because the program was filmed in Chile.
Ah, okay.
And then I ended up going and doing that the year after.
Right.
So it was another trip back to.
Yeah, I was looking it up last night, and like there's like 3 different routes, isn't it? Because you could do like a quicker one, because it was saying that there's like 3 different ways that you could do it. One takes like a couple hours.
Yeah.
And one's like 45 minutes, and one's like 3 days. I'm like, I'm gonna guess which one you did.
It was brilliant, and it was such a good team of people that were there. It was really good.
Good, yeah. The reviews must have been insane.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to think how these people so long ago have built this massive city, basically on the edge of a cliff, with like none of the technicalities or the technical equipment that we have now, but yet they still managed.
Just winged
So it's like the pyramids, right? Like, how on earth did they make those?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you not just love to go back for like a day just to see?
Just to see what was happening, yeah.
Do you imagine how much we would all learn?
Yeah, it would be pretty interesting. Where would you go back to if you could go back to one?
Oof. I'm not sure. I'd have to think about that. There's so many things that, like even the Great Wall of China, right?
Yeah.
Like, how did they build that?
Yeah.
Or I would like to go back just to see how they did something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know which one.
I think things like that are like totally like monumental. Like it kind of puts in a little bit of perspective how little patience we have nowadays for stuff.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? Like we get roadworks for a week to fill a couple of potholes and we're raging.
Or you get roadworks for 6 months where nobody's doing anything.
Also 2 potholes.
Standard Aberdeen.
Yeah, just Aberdeen. Yeah. Like on top of everything that you're doing, fitness wise, like you're running. Do you still do the boxing?
Yep.
Yeah, Muay Thai.
So I do Muay Thai. I have a Muay Thai boxing PT up at the combat centre, kind of once, twice a week. Once a week just now.
And you're running classes as well in the.
I still do classes in the park, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. So we still do classes in the park. Still do circuits here. Yeah. Yeah,
that's it. That's a lot. And you're now taking over the high rock scene as well.
I don't know about that, but I've been playing.
Doing not bad, yeah. And lifting weights as well. Heavy weights, I should say as well.
Well,
I would say lifting heavy, certainly above average. I would say. You give me that.
You have to say that because I've been coming to your classes.
I know.
Until about 4 weeks ago.
Doing amazing.
When Elias told me I couldn't fit it into my plan.
Oh yeah. You'll be back.
I'll be back next week.
Good. It'll be busier. We've put up to 16 now. So yeah, it was actually through the class this come about. So do you remember? I think you'd found it amusing or whatever, but got us talking when I banned shaking heads in the gym, and it was. Do you remember that? I banned shaking heads because to me it was. It's like a defeatist attitude. It's like you've already lost. You're already saying this is going to be shit. You're not going to lift it. It's not going to happen. Do you know what I mean? I don't think I knew you'd ban shaking heads. I think
we were taught, there was one of the girls in the class who was like, I'm not going to be able to lift this. And I was like, well, if you say that, then you're not going to be able to lift it, right? So then we talked about the IKEA.
Yeah, and the positive self-talk and things. And it was the plant experiment. So explain the plant experiment to me.
Okay, so it's the IKEA ran this experiment where they had these two plants. One plant, a whole bunch of kids came and saw it every day and spoke really nicely to it, and this other plant, everybody was really nasty to it, spoke nasty words to it, and the plant everybody was lovely to, totally thrived, grew beautiful, and the other one shriveled up and died just from the power of words.
That's brilliant. And I'd seen a similar one with rice, and it was 3 cups of rice with water in it, and I think it was more to do with the water, and it was again, one of them was talked to nicely and it was like appreciated, said thank you to it every day, and the other one was talked to horribly, and then the third one was just completely ignored. And the one that was talked to nicely was fine. The one that was talked to badly went like mouldy and black, and the one that was ignored went mouldy and black as well, just not as much.
Yeah.
So it was still kind of negative effect, just not as much as the bad words. But I suppose it's a difficult one to really quantify and say exactly what happened, because I think even after that experiment, they're not entirely sure why.
But do you have to know why?
No, not really. I mean, it's just it's a cool thing to see. They did it. It kind of proved that it did something. So
what's really interesting about that one is how the effect of ignoring it was.
Yeah.
So social isolation is one of the things that will kill you sooner than anything else.
Yeah.
That's why they use it in prisons as a deterrent or as a punishment. Or they'll use it like in torture interrogation in the program. You're completely isolated, you don't know who else is there. You've lost all your senses, you've got a black hood over your head, you've got goggles on, you've got earphones on, you have no idea what's happening. And it's that social isolation is just horrific.
Just lost in nothingness. What yes, did you use so I've seen you like use positive self-talk and around other people in the gym as well, and it's something that I use because I'm aware of the negative effects of, it's like that on a simpler level, like a fighter going into a fight that thinks his loss is already lost kind of thing, and I carry it over to lifting as well. Like, you really need to believe that it's going to go, that you're going to do it, and if you don't, you don't. But if you tell yourself that it's not going to, then you're as well not lifting it. Do you know what I mean? But for you, and in that program as well, did you have to practice positive self-talk to keep yourself on some kind of level?
So the program was the best thing I have ever done. I would go back in a heartbeat. I absolutely loved it. You just did what you were told. You didn't have to make any decisions. It was just, you just go and do it, right? So irrespective of what they asked you to do, you just had to do it. And no matter how hard or how sore you were, or you always knew that everybody else was in the same situation. So you would wake up every morning and you go, oh my God, I can't move, my legs are sore, my arms are sore, everything is agony. And then, but every single person in the place is feeling exactly the same. And you can always do more than you think you can. So you just get up and you just do it.
Yeah, that's good. Do you think that's kind of a key to people pushing past their limits? Is that, like, stop talking negatively to yourself? Like, it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to listen to 1,000 affirmations or anything like that. But the more you practice that, replacing the negative stuff, like, it just becomes, because I don't think I actually talk to myself particularly positively. I don't talk to myself negatively either. It's just you just do it.
You just don't speak to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. That's also, I'm not crazy. Not out loud anyway. But even things like it's not particularly positive or anything, but it's like, alright, let's fucking go, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Rather than, oh my god, this is gonna suck so bad. Do you know what I mean? It generally does if you say that.
Yeah, so that's the same thing about like procrastination, right? If you've got chores that you need to do, like tasks that you have set out that you need to do for that day, and in general, if you just turned around and did it, it would be done. It would take maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But then if it's something that you don't really want to do, you're going to procrastinate over for like half an hour, 45 minutes. You'll find something else to do. You'll go and clean your house, or, you know, it's the same as whenever you're studying, right?
Yeah.
You go out of your way to do the thing that you need to do. But actually, if you just go on and did it, then
it'd be done. And gone, and then you can do what you were going to do
anyway. Exactly.
Yeah. Just more productive.
With regards to your like positive mental attitude whenever you're lifting, I think an awful lot of it is, I think people underestimate the power of positive thought, right? And the power of your subconscious. Like, even if your internal monologue is negative all the time, that is just going to drag you down. And like, I keep harping back to the program, but there's so many things that I learned from that. Like, one of the boys in the program lost his wife when she committed suicide.
Damn.
And do you know that, like, if you think how hard, what a terrible place in your mind you must be to think that there's not anything that's going to make that better. That the best thing that you can do for yourself, for your family, is to commit suicide. Like, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can just turn that on and make that better, but if you have that continual internal monologue of self deprecation and negative thought, and that's only going to drag you down, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to be positive all the time, right? Stuff happens. But even if you can turn your negatives into a positive, right? Like, you have to work really hard at that, and it has to become your normal practice. That like, you just automatically do it.
And it's not always apparent, I think. It's not always, like, I call it being a hippo. I don't know where I read it, but I read it was something like, you're allowed to be a hippo for a little bit, then you need to sort yourself out. And it's like, it's basically wallowing in self-pity kind of thing. And it's like, something shitty happens, you're going to feel it, because you can't not, you know, you've got emotions, you're going to feel something, but you can't stay stuck in it.
Yeah,
so you give yourself a little while, and Danny and I use this as well, and we just, like, if we're really feeling something, like, just being a fucking hippo, I'll sort it in a minute. Yeah. And then we kind of get that understanding of where we're at in our thought process.
Yeah.
And I think as well, like, have you seen the experiments done with, like, money, particularly around, like, gamblers? If you win a certain amount of money, say you won £100, really great, won £100. If you lose £100, it hurts twice as much. And it's like, it's so much more impact than negative stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that relates to this as well. Like, if you're talking to yourself negatively or always berating yourself and things, that's going to hurt so much more than the positive stuff.
No, 100%. And that's why you have to work so much harder on the positive stuff, right? So it has to just be automatic and subconscious. And that's why it probably holds more value if you can create a positive thing from a negative thing that's happened, right? So like, I suppose even if you were a gambler and you'd won or you'd lost £100, well, you go, okay, well, that's shit. I've lost £100, but what am I going to do with that? Am I going to turn around and go, okay, well, I've lost £100. I'm not going to gamble again because I can't afford to keep doing it. Or so, do you know what I mean? It's just having, I suppose, the automatic thought process of just being able to turn that.
Yeah, it takes practice, I think, but the more and more you do it, so I've got an interesting one, and I try and talk people through with the gym when they're like trying to motivate themselves getting in the gym. And it's, for me, and I think for a lot of people, it's like an emotional response. It's like, how do they feel like going to the gym? Probably not, and if they don't, then they won't. and like they got all the excuses.
That's a whole other interesting thing as well, right?
And it's like I feel like I got to a point where emotion just doesn't come into it anymore. I've got past that point. I've had the ups and downs, and now it's just train. It doesn't matter how I'm feeling or what's happening today. It's you just go on and do it, and then eventually it's just something you do.
So what is that?
What the emotional?
No, what is that? What is that creates that? Okay?
Discipline.
Exactly. So motivation will get you so far, but you with the best will in the world, you're not going to be motivated every day.
Yeah.
You're not going to be motivated when it's the middle of winter, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, it's pitch black, it's cold, it's wet, it's windy, and you want to stay in your bed.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like motivation is going to be zero. And then it's creating that discipline that allows you to just keep going with that, right?
Yeah.
And also creating those habits that make that a discipline, right?
Yeah, and that discipline I think gets easier with time as well. It's not something I ever think about.
No.
Like you just do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I try and replace motivation as like such a fickle thing. It's either there or it's not, and you can't really sway it any which way. I mean, there's only so many motivational videos you can watch for this to have much effect. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get pumped up. I mean, we all grew up with Rocky and stuff, but it's still. You're like Rocky and get in the bin at 5 o'clock in the morning when there's no sunshine.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think I try and replace it with like drive. Like try and find a drive, like a goal or whether like small, big or whatever, and get driven, and that's going to help you build that discipline, that motivation. Do you know what I mean?
What is it that you think? What is it for you that creates that?
That discipline or that drive.
Yeah.
I suppose my goals further down the line. So I've talked previously about this. I've got my own personal goals where I want to see my fitness in 6 months, in a year, in 5 years down the line, and that's always kind of there in my head. And I feel like if I miss anything, I'm slowing that process down. I don't want to do that. But then on the other hand, I've got family, I've got the kids and everything I want to be fit in that for. And I actually thought that was a bit of a gimmicky response that everybody uses, but actually last year with my knees were just shot, and when I seen you and we got it sorted, and it turns out it was actually quads problem, and now they feel awesome. And honestly, the difference between I couldn't touch the front of my patella, now I can get down on the floor and mess about around the floor with the kids, and they're like, this is so much better. Like, why would I not want that? And it's not fair on them not to be in a position to be able to do that as well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of always self-motivating. That and like protection of family and everything, like is all multiple factors, I think. But it means I've got any one stream of many that I can draw on for that drive.
So everybody has to find their own drive, right? And here in this gym, I think a lot of the drive is the people who are here, like the team who are here. Like, you know that you're going to be here for 6 o'clock in the morning, you know Ben's going to be there.
Yeah.
Do you know? Or like it's having people here who make you accountable up to a point, do you know?
Yeah.
So for me, that's a bit of what drives me.
Yeah.
Is like accountability to myself, accountability to other people, or...
Yeah, I think I talked to Louise about this.
Only time of the day I can fit it in.
A big factor. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like a lot of people say, like, I've not got the time. Well, you do have the time. Do you know what I mean? You're not invested in enough, or you've not gotten driven enough to find that time. So, but it is there. It's always been there. Do you know what I mean?
20 minutes. That's like all it takes. Just get out of bed 20 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
And just do stuff at home to start off with, and then.
I think it's like if somebody told you like you can have this free holiday or all this cash if you get up at this time and do this thing, even if it's shit. And
so sometimes that's not enough of a drive though, right? Because if you think about people who smoke, right? If they stop smoking, think of all that money they would have.
Yeah.
Like, they smoke 20 cigarettes a day.
Well, that's the thing.
I don't even know how much a packet of cigarettes is just now, but...
Too much.
But if 20 cigarettes a day, and you're saying, right, just stop smoking, think of the money you have, think of the holidays you'll be able to go on, think of the stuff you'll be able to buy. That's not enough of a motivator for them.
Do you think that's that positive thing though, being not as emotion evoking as the negative? Do you know what I mean? And because there's not an instant negative as well, it's not like you smoke one, you're gonna die. Do you know what I mean? It's like it could be 30 years down the line, like worry about it later. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, maybe. But I think a bit of that's like habit, because like if we talk about habit for a little while, right, it's relatively easy to start a new habit, but it's also much easier to go back into a bad habit, right? Like if you think people who are like, they'll get in, 1st of January, perfect example. 1st of January, New Year's resolution, going to get to the gym, that's your motivator. Okay, going to get to the gym, and then they maybe do it for a month, and then they just stop. Because they've created this new habit, but they don't know how to
like maintain
it. So they've worked on motivation for like the first 2-3 weeks, but that's not long enough to create discipline, right? So like, I've got discipline to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning because I've done it for the last like 5 years. Do you know what I mean? So, and it's the only way that I can do all the stuff that I want to do. I know that I'm going to get it fitted in.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it takes a time. It's building, it's hard, but then it's not.
No, exactly. You know what I mean? You have to go through that hard bit to get there.
I think it is, like you were talking about, like surrounding yourself with the people in here, and I think that's a massive part of it as well. Like if you depend on the people that you surround yourself is kind of going to be where you're going to be.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? So it lifts you up, or it can also equally drag you down as well.
You will always go down. Like if you surround yourself with a group of people, you will always be dragged down to their level. Or lifted up. So you should always surround yourself by people who are going to lift you. Always aim higher. I would say this to multiple people, like you and it, like from a gym perspective, it's like you want to be strong, hang out with strong people. And the example I kind of give for this is stroking my own ego a little bit, but if I train in results, say like deadlift a 300 deadlift, that's not a big deal, right?
Nobody even blinks an eye.
Exactly.
And then you go into like Secure Gym and they're like, oh my god.
That's exactly the same as what you said just there. You're like, oh, you're like relatively strong. And I'm like, well, no, not really, because like the stuff that I lift, people lift all the time in this place.
But you're basing it off of here.
So it's all relative, bubble. Right?
And
I don't think that that's a very fair reflection in results, because it's not really a gym like that. It's just that we've surrounded ourselves by these people that's just normal.
Like-minded, driven people that just happen to be strong because they train all the time.
And it's just normal.
So
you're like, you're quite strong, and I'm just like, maybe averagely strong.
Keeps you humble, though, right?
What makes you? What qualifies as strong?
You're like
right?
deadlift a 300 and like, nothing.
You're like, don't even get a wee clap.
I know that. It's probably warming up. But that's a good thing, though. I think it keeps you humble in that right space. But also you are brought up like that's insane. The stuff people lift and do in this gym is insane, and it's a little bit worked for us because we're surrounded by it all the time. But then you go out in the real world, like nobody is doing that, and like why not? Like you need to find some new circles.
Yes, exactly.
I mean? I think people get too comfortable. Comfort is probably
we can talk about comfort for as long as you want.
That's the killer of progress, right?
100%. So if you're comfortable, just coasting, like you're never gonna, like, where's the challenge in that? So I don't really know what happened. Maybe a bit of it is just because I became a consultant. So whenever you go through your orthopaedic training, you do, like I finished uni in 2002 and was training in orthopaedics through to 2014. I got my consultant job. So that's a lot of training, right? There's loads of hoops you have to jump through, loads of exams you have to pass, loads of different jobs you have to get, fellowships you have to get, and so there's always like that challenge. And then you get your consultant job, which is like your pinnacle of what you're going to do, and you don't have that challenge anymore. You just get this job where you just do what you do, and you're meant to be good at that, right? So like I say, I'm a little bit niche, and one of my patients said the other day, one of my tumour patients was like, okay, so have you done this operation before? And I was like, no, but that's what I do. No sarcoma patient that I treat I will ever have done their exact operation before, because every cancer is different. Every operation that you do is different. Every prosthesis or like reconstruction thing that you do is going to be different, right? So, like if you, all of these different challenges, so like I still get challenged at work pretty much every day, but that's like just part of your job. That's like, you're just meant to be good at that, right?
Yeah.
So whenever I started doing that, it all kind of started off with white collar boxing, really, because I joined, and that's how I got into the combat centre as well, is because they had this white collar event. I was like, 8 weeks of free training, happy days. What a boxing match, like a boxing match at the end of it, like it can't be that bad.
Yeah.
and actually the event that I fought in was massive. It was like 3 boxing rings at the middle of the exhibition centre. There were like 5,000 people watching. There was like 75 fights throughout these 3 rings. It was amazing. And then kind of after that I started doing Muay Thai, and then I was like, oh, I want to be able to share like doing this, and I didn't have time to like do a PT course, so I did a lot of group exercise instructor stuff, sort of P90X and Insanity and stuff like that, and then started up an exercise class initially at the combat centre, and then COVID happened and we just went out into the park and did it there, and then we just kept it in the park. So that's kind of where that's where I got my challenges from in the end. And then I kind of was on Facebook and this advert for SAS came up, so I was like, oh well, what's the worst that can happen? I'll just try and see. Like, it'll be interesting to see what even you have to do. And that's when it all went bad.
I think that's good. Comfort's a funny place. I tend to call them still people, and that's more of a negative spin on it, where it's like, because I have dealt with a lot of people like that, and I've distanced myself from, but it's like, you can recognise a still person, like they're still in the same place, they're still complaining. Do you know what I mean? And that's the comfort. They're comfortable in their fucking complaining little circle. Everything's miserable, and I'm like, I don't want anything to do with it.
But they're complaining, but they're not actually creating any solutions for their problems.
Well, this is the thing. Like, I used to see this a lot in particularly retail and kind of jobs like that, when it was like you go in Monday morning and everybody's already waiting for the weekend. Like, they're already living for the weekend. They're like, oh, morning. They're like, yeah. Is it a good morning? I'm like, fucking hell, cheer up. And it's like, you come in, they're all complaining about something happening. I'm like, cool, what are you doing about it? And they're like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Why are you not doing something about it? You're just going to stand and complain about it. Like, what's that going to achieve? But everybody's happy sharing their misery and just complaining about it.
Yeah.
I like doing nothing about it though.
Do you want to know, that's the one thing, I have got the best job in the world. I absolutely love my job. Yeah. And like, if you love your job, you'll never work another day. And that is what you need to do. You need to find a job that fulfills you, makes you want to go to it. And if you're not in that place, you either have to work to make that job better, like how you want to perceive it or how you're going to enjoy it, or you need to move job. Absolutely. I think that people get comfortable in that job as well, and they've got their safeties and things, which is fine, but is it really worth your soul destroyed? Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Just like sucks a bit of your soul, and then it sucks everybody else's soul all around you.
Everybody's bloody miserable. I can't remember where I read this, but it was like if you're not happy where you are, move. Like, you're not a tree. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You're not rooted to like, I always remember that. I'm like, because I've moved several jobs as well, and like, it wasn't happy, so I would do something about it. Because like, fuck that. What's the alternative? Just being still.
What made you stop being an electrician to do PT?
I fell out of love with it. I wasn't enjoying it anymore. It was on my second electrical company, and I got into the commercial side of it, and commercial is brutal because they just stop. Like, they get new buyers or whatever, the company changes, and then nothing. Nobody talks anymore. The money stops, and it's like, it's really fickle. And I don't want that for my finance. Do you know what I mean? Like, 1 minute it's going great, the next minute nothing. I'm like, nah. It's also getting bigger at the time, and I'd done a house rewire, and the couple were staying in the house, and it was torture. I couldn't fit under the floors, I couldn't get in the attic. I'm like, this is shit. I don't like this. So nah.
So it was a sizes thing?
That as well, So nah, I need to find somewhere to fit. And so yeah, luckily gym's nice and open.
It's good to have expanded.
I was in the gym heaps anyway, and I'm like, actually, like, what could I do that gets me here more often? Like, what fits around my gym lifestyle and being able to eat everything that I want and everything? I'm like, I could just work out the gym. So I actually had contacted Lewis saying, like, you got any jobs going? And he was like, no, it doesn't really work like that. And then he pointed me towards doing the PT course. So I'd just done that online whilst I was still doing other bits of work. I even went to Asda and was doing deliveries because I'd been doing Sparky stuff. It wasn't bringing me any joy, so I'd rather find something that I can enjoy doing, even if it meant a lot less money.
Is that why you won't come and fit my TV?
Yeah, I actually despise it. I've got work to go do for Danny's brother this weekend. I've been putting off for 6 weeks. Like, and it's so easy.
Okay, you've only put me off.
So easy
you've only put me off for like 6 months, but it's fine.
It's honestly like even stuff around my own house. Dan's like, you could do that. I'm like, yeah, I really don't want to. It just takes so long.
It's hard to do stuff in your own house, though.
Well, that's the thing. And like, on the same note, like say like people living for the weekend. I've often talked about this, like people like, why not taking time off or anything? It's like, what's a holiday, right? That's kind of the ongoing joke around here because nobody takes holidays, but it's because we enjoy doing what we're doing. And I think if you find a space where you don't feel like you need to take a holiday particularly, or like you're not living for the weekend, that's where you're meant to be. Do you know
we need to speak to Paddy about this because like we never have arguments, and this is the one thing we have arguments about is holidays.
That the trigger.
Like, Paddy's like, we need to go on holiday. I'm like, well, I don't really have time to go on holiday. I've got all this stuff happening, and I've got like, and he's, yeah, we need to go on holiday. I'm like, it stresses me out.
Don't get me wrong, it's nice. It's nice when you do that.
It stresses me out to go on holiday. It's harder to go.
It's the opposite effect.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's I get that where like it takes so much time out of your normal schedule that you're pretty happy doing. Yeah, I get that.
And it's planning to go, and it's getting everything sorted before you go, and then you go away, and then there's just this mountain of stuff to come back to you, and you're just like, well, if I'd have not gone away on holiday, I would have been able to on that.
Just went through it's a normal day. Yeah, I think that's a big thing for people is getting stuck in comfort. Probably linking all that together, actually, get stuck in comfort, all the negative self-talk and everything, it's just a spiral, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You get stuck in, and it is difficult to claw yourself out of it.
But it's really, like, it's so hard to comprehend how, like, that spiral can be so destroying.
Yeah, and not just for you, for everyone
everybody around
you as well.
you. And, like, I say this to my cancer patients all the time as well, like, all these patients are like going through absolute hell. Like you can't think of anything worse. Like for me, like the worst days, like telling people they've got cancer or telling people that they've got metastatic disease, like cancer that's spread elsewhere.
Yeah.
And it's just like the worst day ever. But for how hard it is for that patient, it's nearly 10 times worse for all your family that are around you, right? Because for you as a patient, you just have to do what you can do, right? You just get told this is where we're going, this is a treatment plan, and then you just have to do it. Okay, it's going to be horrible. It's just going to be absolutely shit, but you just have to do it. Yeah. But for your family that are around you, they would do anything to be in that place for you. And they can't. Yeah. So they just feel helpless and like they don't know what to do for the best, and they can't say anything because it's just horrific for everybody. Yeah,
that's bad crack. Then how do you talk with the patients, like their families and stuff as well? Like how do you help them through it, or have they got, is that a different field?
So all my patients know they can just phone and I'll get back to them, or we've got clinical nurse specialists who are really good at kind of just helping people along and giving advice, and they will direct them for advice with regards to finances, with regards to everything. Really.
Kind of deal with the mental side of it. Yeah, I think that's the hardest battle, and it's never really the physical stuff. It's the in the head stuff.
Absolutely, and that's the same thing with even with the program. Like you wake up every morning in your agony, but it's actually telling yourself that you can just go again.
Yeah.
Or like those 14, 16, 18 hours or whatever it was of torture interrogation, where it's not a physical thing at all. Yeah, there's stress positions, but it's absolutely 100% mental. Like,
all in
just,
your head.
It's absolutely all in your head.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the mental game is probably a lot harder than the physical game. I think that's where people get stuck as well. Like I explain, particularly like hard cardio tasks, and your brain's telling like you're gonna die. You can't. There's no oxygen going in. You can't breathe. I'm like, well, you're still standing up.
So hard cardio. Do you know what that is? Hey. When was the last time you did hard cardio?
Carry bags for like 20 meters sometimes.
Hard cardio for like 10 seconds.
Yeah. But it is like, and everything you do, like hard, like lifting stuff, even mental tasks, it's like you're coming further and further away from homeostasis, and your brain's going to tell you like, this is shit, you're going to die, this is really bad, something bad's going to happen, you need to bring it back, settle down, sit on a couch, sip a coffee and watch the telly, because that's where you're comfortable. Do you know what I mean? You're not
I don't know what that feels like, sitting on a sofa. Jesus, if I'm sitting on a sofa for more than 20 minutes, I'm asleep.
So am I. Yeah, I think you get, it's easy to bring it back to that and get stuck in that and listen to it, whereas like, if you push through it, do you know what I mean? Nothing bad's going to happen. You're not going to die. You're just going to make it through the other side. It's going to come back to normal eventually, and then you do that over and over again, and that shit gets easier.
And that's
you become
how you grow.
stronger, and you become mentally stronger. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the link between the physical and mental stuff as well. You can push yourself physically, it's going to make you stronger mentally as well.
Absolutely.
And then it's easier to deal with not even just in the gym, but outside in the real world. Like if you can push yourself in here and be committed and use that discipline to come in all the time, everything outside in the real world is just going to be that little bit easier. Do you know what I mean?
Everything's all relative, right? Like everything's relative. So if you, like exactly like you say, if you face hard tasks in the gym, then it normalizes hard.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Or it normalizes difficult. So whenever you face hard or you face difficult outside the gym, then you've normalised that already, so you can kind of deal with it.
You know that you can get through it, you're not going to die and you will come out the other side.
Yeah. You might be miserable for a while, everybody around you might be miserable a while, but that's just like the gym as well.
Yeah, it's just normal. Yeah, it is. That is good.